One of the most requested tools in my comments is LTX Video. It promises AI video generation with low VRAM, but does it really deliver? I actually originally skipped it because I didn't think it would be fair to compare a low VRAM tool against other open source high VRAM tools like CogVideoX and Mochi in ComfyUI. But due to unprecedented demand and my own personal curiosity generated from your comments, let's put it to the test, and I would be pleasantly surprised if it can stack up. So I will walk you through LTX's 3 main features, show you how to use them, and compare them to the other open source free video generation tools that are available in ComfyUI. So let's see if LTX Studio lives up to the hype. Alright, there's no point in beating around the bush. This is the comparison. If you guys are unfamiliar with this setup, I have a very detailed video on where I compare the other 3, which is PyramidFlow, CogVideoX, and Mochi, using this setup, and I go into details of how to set all of these up. And I just added LTX right here. If you want to know how to install this, I'll put that at the end, because I realize, you don't need to install all 4 of these. I'm the only one that needs to install 4 of them. So if you like LTX, I will put installation instructions at the end of the video. I think the 3 most important things to compare for any video generation tool is going to be, can it do humans, right? That's number 1. Number 2, can it do environments? And then can it do non-humans? And then maybe as a special bonus, can it do some kind of stylization, right? This is LTX's text to video generation. It also has capabilities for image to generation and video to video generation. We'll go into all 3, but let's start with the text to video, since that's the most simple. The fairest way to do it is to get a random prompt from ChatGPT, because then all 4 are on the same playing field. And the only thing I'll specify is I want this to be a human subject. So I'm going to go with this prompt. All I'm doing is telling it that I want the main subject to be human, and other than that, it's a random prompt. So it gave me something. I'm just going to copy this, bring it right into our setup. And this will be the prompt. So I've removed the parts of the prompt that were just ChatGPT's response, which there was a header and like an explanation at the end. We're left with just the prompt, and I'm going to queue that up, and it will go through all 4. But meanwhile, I'm just checking out this prompt for the first time. I actually have never seen this before. So it looks like we have a futuristic cyberpunk style, lots of neon glowing tattoos, dance motion, we got flying drones, we got holographic advertisements, sparks of electricity flicker from her tattoos. Honestly, if any of the 4 get even close to this, I would be impressed. If we get even half of this, or the main parts of this, maybe just the woman dancing in the rain-soaked streets, I would be happy with that. So I'm going to let this load, and I'll come back when it's done, and we'll check out the results. Okay, so that is finished rendering. You can't do a review of LTX video without mentioning how fast it is. So this prompt in particular, it executed in 28.6 seconds. I'll compare that to Mochi, which is the slowest and the longest time to execute is 318 seconds. So that's about what, like 12 times faster than Mochi, which is really significant. CogVideoX coming at 132 seconds, about 5 times slower than LTX, and PyramidFlow at 116, so about like 4.5 times slower than LTX. But let's get into the results. Let's check out what we got. If we get into this one by one, this is LTX right here. I don't think it did an okay job. Okay, honestly, the prompt was really tough, and it gave us raining. I don't think this is really like a great looking person. But the environment is decent. I got a lot of the neon, we got a lot of the reflections, which is what we prompted for, and we got a pretty cool camera move. It's a little weird, but maybe, you know, if you're doing something something abstract, it might be really cool. Here we have PyramidFlow. So the first thing you notice is the human anatomy is totally broken. But actually the background is pretty nice. We have like some drones flying about there. Mostly these neon signs and all these reflections in this rain is what really works about PyramidFlow. But again, it could not handle just the human movement of this dancing. That just didn't work out. Again, let's go into CogVideo. I mean, this kind of so far has been, I mean, it's very dark. I think even in my last test, CogVideo always came out a little bit dark. It tends to lean on the darker side. It barely passes as some kind of like super abstract, like maybe some kind of like CG video game rave party or something. Overall, like, I mean, it's okay. It's not, none of the three so far have really blown me away. I don't like how it's just very monotone. Like, we kind of prompted for a futuristic city with a lot of neon and it just gave us blue. So if you like this, that might be your style. If not, let's move on to Mochi. All right, so of all the four, Mochi probably did it the best. This can actually pass for some kind of dance movement with like some kind of lightning power, which is pretty cool. The city and the camera movement they're really solid. This looks like a futuristic city. It's got neon, it's got things flying around, you know, rain, really reflective material. I would give this to Mochi, but you know, let's test some other things. Like, none of them really handled the human aspect like super well. I would say Mochi was the most passable out of the four, right? And here's a look at all four again. I think where these video models will shine is in environments. I'm gonna go back to ChatGPT and just ask it for a random environment. All right, so ChatGPT just gave us some kind of random environment prompt. I'm gonna go back into my comparison, and again, I'm just gonna get rid of all the ChatGPT add-on stuff, and let's see what we get. I'll queue this up. All right, so that finished loading. Let's check out our results. You know, initial impression is they all did a pretty good job. This is LTX right here. You know, that looks good. I like the camera movement. I really like this background. We got some really cool lighting. It kind of gave us a very, I guess the prompt called for a waterfall. This is kind of like, maybe that's a waterfall in the background. It looks more like a pond or something, but everything else is really nice. Like the forest is really nice. Really great detail, great camera movement. Here we have PyramidFlow. This did give us a waterfall. It gave us mist. Again, really great work. I think all of these video gens, the open source free ones on ComfyUI, they do a really great job with environments overall. Here's CogVideo. We got a little bit of a nice, it's kind of like a freehand camera motion, which is really cool. CogVideoX skews a little bit dark, but you know, overall this is really great. And Mochi, kind of like a flyover, you know, glowing. Got some runes back here. Again, really great job. So I think you could get away with any of them in the environment category. Overall, I do like the camera movements from LTX, CogVideo, and Mochi, probably the best. But all, you know, all four are passable. We'll go back to ChatGPT, and the last thing I want to test for text to video at least is just a non-human kind of creature character. Okay, so I asked it for any creature or animal, and it chose a phoenix, which I would not have chosen. That is probably going to be the hardest kind of creature, a fantasy creature. But you know what? Let's put them to the test. That's what this whole video is about. So let's see what we actually get. I'm going to put this Phoenix prompt in. I'll queue it up and let's see what we get. Okay, so that just finished. Let's check out what we got. Okay, so I mean, initial impression, really the only one that can handle a prompt like this, which I'm actually pretty surprised about, is Mochi. I mean, that actually looks like a phoenix that's landing and has fire and volcano and stuff. CogVideo has some kind of creature that might pass as a phoenix. It's kind of close. Maybe it's gliding. PyramidFlow got barely any motion. There's a little bit down here on this like smoke trail. And LTX has something that is kind of forming, but it kind of forms into a maybe like a butterfly or something. It's not too clear what that is. So I think, you know, of the four, Mochi probably gets it for the Phoenix. But the most important thing is, you know, Mochi, I also felt did the best last time in text to video, but it doesn't have an image to video option, which really is a killer for a lot of people. Like, people love the image to video. LTX Studio does have that. So next we'll be comparing image to video capabilities across these four, and Mochi will definitely be out. So let's move on to image to video. All right, great. So I'm pulling this file with this mage holding a flame in her hand. Let's adjust the prompt to match. Let's queue this up, see what we get. All right, those are done. Let's check out our results. Okay, so, you know, first impression is actually LTX did really good job, especially for how fast it is. I think PyramidFlow gave us this weird color on her skin, which is a little strange, and there's no motion to her body at all. And CogVideoX did probably a really good, it actually did a good job too. You know, by default, CogVideoX is a little bit steppy. In my other video, I go into why we should use a Rife node with it, which this setup actually did have a Rife node. I forgot I had that on there. So that's just something to be aware of if you're using CogVideoX. But out of the box, you know, LTX did a good job. There's a little distortion on her lip right, you know, there. But other than that, you know, the fire looks good, and her overall like lighting and stuff looks pretty good. I want to test the image to video one more time with a non-human character. Okay, so I have this wolf. Let's give this a try, see what we get. You know, and I'm just gonna say this is a close-up of a wolf growling. Let's queue this up and see what we get. All right, those just finished. Let's check out our results. All right, all of them gave us some decent movement. You know, I think actually, so LTX is here on the left. It did a pretty good job, like overall head movement, some mouth movement. There's a little bit of weird artifacts and stuff happening in the bottom part of the mouth, but the actually top half of the head is all like really nice. PyramidFlow probably did the worst because it's kind of like this, I don't know, fleshy zombie like tongue, which is really weird. But other than that, the rest of it looks kind of cool. And CogVideoX did probably the most consistent job. There's a little bit of weird stuff happening on the top of his snout, and some of his teeth are kind of like moving around or deforming oddly, but decent overall shape. I'd say they all handled it pretty close though. Maybe CogVideoX won by a little bit, but LTX video was pretty decent up there. Like, I would, if this was my project, I'd probably retry that on a couple more seeds, and you know, you might be able to get something really good out of that. The last thing is that LTX has a video to video mode, which is really interesting. So of the four that we started testing on, the only other one that has a video to video mode is CogVideoX. Now, I've done reviews on other like restylization video to video, so I don't think it's really fair to compare them directly, especially since CogVideoX's kind of has some additional controls. Like, you can use control nets with it, and you can use some additional ComfyUI features that I don't know if they are compatible with LTX at this time. At least there's no example that uses them yet. So that might be worth experimenting with, but it's worth at least taking a look at LTX's video to video model on its own. I just loaded in the LTX video model. I'll load up a video right here. So I just loaded up this video of this woman, I don't know, holding like a, what is that, like an orange? In the example, what they're doing with this video to video is they describe the initial like video and then what they want to see from the video. So in this case, it starts off with colorful hot air balloons, which was actually, it was a default example from the text to video version of LTX. And then in addition, it kind of describes what they want to see from the balloons or from that video. So in this case, the balloons kind of like become fairy chimneys, like a rock formation. So I guess we'll do the same thing. I'll just say, you know, it starts off with a woman holding an orange, and let's describe something that happens to the orange. So maybe the orange glows or something like that. So I'll just say like, so I just said she splits the orange in half and the middle is filled with glowing bright magic. And I'll describe it as like a maybe a fantasy style illustration. I'll cue it up and we'll see if we get anything out of that. Okay, so I did notice I had a typo in my prompt, but it already finished. So let's see what we got. All right. So the video is transforming. I'm not quite sure how this is usable. You know, maybe something simpler will work. I'm gonna try actually just using a very, very simple prompt. So I'm just gonna write anime style in the prompt. The other thing that you have to note is this video was quite high res. It's a stock video from Pexels. I limited the width and the load cap just so that it doesn't overwhelm my system. So with that, let's cue it up. Let's see if it gives us an anime style. I don't know if it will, but we'll find out. Okay, that just finished. Let's see what we get. All right, so it didn't really do anything in anime style, and I kind of lost some of the movement too from my my video for some reason. I should have at least got 64 frames. I don't know what happened here. Anyway, so I'm not really sure how to use this video to video mode. Actually, if anyone ends up playing with it and you find a good use for it, let me know. Overall, I think LTX video has some really good potential. It really stacks up in the image to video area. I think that's where it can compete the most. I think, especially considering how low the requirements are for the VRAM, it really stacks up with CogVideo and PyramidFlow. I do think in text to video, Mochi still takes the win over all of them, but again, I also acknowledge that text to video mode is not the most useful. So should you use it? I definitely think it's worth checking out. I definitely think that it has a lot of potential and it could really be the answer for whatever project you might have in mind. If you want to install LTX video, it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to give you a link to the GitHub page, and there are very clear installation instructions right here, but I will show you how to do that anyway. You're going to want to search for it in the ComfyUI manager. In the ComfyUI manager, if you go to the custom nodes manager, you're just going to search for LTX video. It's going to be right here, this one, by Light Tricks. You'll have the install button. Mine is already installed. You just click it, restart your computer. It just says to restart ComfyUI, but I always like to restart my computer because I've actually run into errors with that with other videos before. So restart your computer. Then back at the GitHub page, you have to download the models. The first model is the save tensors that goes in models checkpoints. There's a page to download that. That part is easy. So this is the page. There's a download button. This file will download. Put that into your ComfyUI checkpoints models page. The second part is you have to install this Git program, and it's just a plugin from Git that helps you download larger files. When you go to this page, it'll just say, it'll download the exe file from this page right here. You hit download. It'll be an exe file. You double click it. It'll install just like any other program. And then you run this code. So there is a copy button for the whole thing. For me, the CD code is just to navigate to the folder, and everyone's folder structure might be a little bit different. So I would actually just copy paste the second part, the git clone, and then the web address. Just copy that, and then you're going to navigate to wherever on your computer the ComfyUI models text encoders folder is. So mine happens to be on a specific drive, and then in your ComfyUI folder, you can go to this bar right here and type CMD. That will pull up the terminal window with the path to your text encoders right there already. Then you could hit paste, and this will have the git clone with the proper web address. You just hit that, and that will put the text encoders into this folder. Now the last part of the installation is just where to get the workflows, and they're also right here, right under the installation instructions. Your text to video is right here. You can download it with this link. Image to video is here, and video to video is right under it. So these are the 3 workflows that we used in this video, and you could choose based on, you could download all 3, or you can choose based on whatever method that you try to use. And that's it. So that's it for today's video. I definitely pay attention to the comments. So just like this is a suggestion that came up over and over again in the comments, I'm definitely happy to look into things like this for you guys. I hope this was helpful. Definitely drop me a like and subscribe, especially if you're an AI creative looking at creative tools with AI. I will see you all in the next one.